I'm going to make this a 2-horse race, as much as you might not want to.
Probably the best 2-year-old sprinter in Europe.
I actually think in here this horse could be unstoppable.
I hope Master of the Seas is a rocket. If she was to win, I'd be very, very excited.
No, you're not.
I'm not.
Ah, what a shame. Hello and welcome to the Next Gen Racing YouTube channel for our weekend preview. We haven't brought you a feature video this week and there wasn't much to talk about from last weekend, but we did sort of ask out on Twitter with regards to questions. Do put down in the comments if you do want to see anything on this channel, because like I say, Jack and I are more than happy to go into a couple of topics, and we've got plenty of sort of feature videos planned and coming your way with regards to anti-post videos and stuff like that. But there's lots of group racing on the card this weekend, and I think we're going to find out a lot about the 2-year-olds as well after this weekend. Obviously we've got this weekend and the Dewhurst weekend, then we'll probably know almost everything that we need to know about 2-year-olds this season. Obviously we do have the Verton Futurity, but yeah, plenty to look forward to, and we have the Cambridgeshire Handicap to preview at the end. It's going to be potentially a really good weekend,
definitely.
Jack.
Yeah, definitely. And also, just quickly, just to answer the question which we did get on Twitter, it was about our National Hunt videos for this winter. Now, of course, we're going to be doing them twice a week. Yeah. When we're in the National Hunt season, I mean, I can't wait for it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it. Yeah, genuinely am.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. Even, I dare say, that the old Cheltenham bug is starting to get going. I know it's very early. But we're starting to see perhaps put the kettle on, or a few big names start to come out. Of course, devastating about Monkfish, but I mean, just give us a 2.5 mile handicap hurdle in Ireland, and we're there. We're there picking winners.
We will be. Yeah,
they will be coming very regularly. Don't worry about that, and we'll be here to stay. Yeah,
and our first official preview for the National Hunt season will probably be tied in with Chepstow and Dewhurst weekend. I'm not actually around that weekend, but Jack will be on here talking through that weekend with you guys, potentially with a guest not confirmed yet, but we'll wait and see. But let's get on to this weekend's action. We're going to preview the action from Newmarket for the Friday and the Saturday, and we'll start off with the 225 on the Friday. It's the Princess Royal Stakes, a Group 3 over 1.5 miles. Albaflora is your favourite here at 5-2. Saida's 5-1. Forbearance is 6-1. Golden Pass 13-2. Domino Darling and Lady Hayes 8-1. Mystery Angel 9-1 and 14-1 bar those. Now, Albaflora is a horse that I've always had in my head with regards to potentially going to the Fillies and Mares after her last run. She did look very nice in her last run. Do you think she's a worthy favourite in here, or do you think there's a few potential types that could take her down?
I think it's a very messy race, but I'm very keen to take her on. I think she's very short. The form of the Yorkshire Oaks isn't exactly working out magnificently, it must be said. Yeah. And she was also beaten 11 lengths in the Lady Langtry. So I'm very keen to take her on. I think they're a little bit of a muchness in behind. Forbearance and Domino Darling were obviously very hard to separate at York on their penultimate outing. Well, Domino Darling's last outing. So it'd be intriguing. Both their penultimate outings. So it'd be intriguing to see how they get on. But Jessie Harrington's form isn't that great at Newmarket, 2 from 18, so she may be on fire at the moment, but Forbearance, that would put me off slightly when she comes overseas. But I'm going to give a chance to Glenartley, who's known for Ed Walker and Oisin Murphy, who have a 32% record when teaming up in the last year. So they're absolutely flying when they're teaming up. She's still unexposed. She rattled home last time out behind Forbearance and Domino Darling when she was slowly away. She made up some really nice late ground that day. That was her only run over this trip. So I think at 16-1 there could be more to come, and perhaps that's a little bit overpriced.
Okay, yeah, nice price about the horse in this race here. And like I say, it is a bit messy. It's not a race that I've sort of overly been keen on, but I do like the chance of the Charlie Appy horse Cider in here. Form with free wind over in France, ran a decent race over there, and she actually won very comfortably at Newmarket at the start of the season, winning by 2.5 lengths very comfortably over the course and distance, and has finished in front of some nice horses in the Chalice Stakes, which was won by Savour Forest. Savour Forest, I don't think showed a true running the last day at Doncaster, but I think with the form of Charlie Appy at the moment and the excellent weekend they had last weekend in Canada, and we know how well Buick rides the Newmarket courses as well, I'd rather take the 5-1 about that than Albaflora. I do think Albaflora is a nice type, but I'd probably like to see her put in a performance like that again, because I would probably say that was one of her career best runs, the second last time out. So yeah, I'm going to side with Said, and your horse, Jack, was?
Glenartley.
And what price?
16-1.
16-1, so not a bad each way price for you guys there. Now we'll go on to the Rockfel Stakes, into a bit of Group 2 action now. It's the 3 o'clock there for the 2-year-old fillies over 7 furlongs. Majestic Glory is your 3-1 favourite. Girl on Film For the Duran Duran fans, that's 4-1. Jumbly 9-2. Oscular 6-1. Hello You 8-1. Romantic Time 9-1. And double figures the rest. Now, this is probably my least favourite race of the weekend. I don't really like the look of it on paper. I actually looked at an each way chance in here, and I do think Sunstrike could run a big race in here at around 12-1 for Gosden and Murphy in the Qatar Racing Silks. Ran a decent third actually back in July at Sandown behind Inspiral. Now we know what Inspiral's come out and done. The horse has also, I think, ran fourth in the Sweet Solera Stakes, which would be, I just think this horse here, you could look at the form and go, this horse has no chance in hell. But the 7 furlongs, sticking at 7 furlongs from the last run, where she ran fairly well, I think that she could run again a big race. I think the step up to a mile will suit this horse eventually. But I think 7 furlongs, I'd give the horse another chance in a bit of another messy race, in my opinion. But at 12-1 with Murphy on board, I think this one could be a potential price in here. What about yourself?
Oh, look, I won't be having a bet in this race, as you say.
No, it's not. It is messy. The first 2 races for preview are both messy, too.
Yeah, they are both messy, so apologies if you've had to watch them, because they are quite messy. They're not the greatest races in the world. It's a big arse for Girl on film on just a second start. I know she's had a lot of money come for her as well, which is pretty intriguing, because Frankie Dettori's jocked up, which is intriguing to see. Jumbly showed a good turn of foot last time out at Kempton. This is obviously a big ask, jumping up from that novice event to here on just her 3rd start, but I think if I was going to have to put anything up, it probably would be the favourite Majestic Glory, of course. Beat Sunstrike in the Sweet Solera.
Yeah.
Beat Wild Beauty that day, and who's since gone on to win a Grade 1 out in Woodbine. I just think she probably has the most solid claims out of the lot. She didn't have a clear run that day as well. Put the race to bed quite nicely, staying on up the hill. And I think at 7-2 in a couple of places, I don't think that's the worst price in the world. Will I be touching her? Probably not.
Okay, yeah, so it's a bit of a no-bet race for Jack, but he does like Majestic Glory in the race, and I think an each-way chance might be Sunstrike for the champion jockey Oisin Murphy. This race we move on to now. I'm quite excited by this. It's a shame we lost the horse from this race today, but 3:35, it's the Joel Stakes, a Group 2 over a mile, and we did have 3 Godolphin runners in here at one stage. We had Marshall of the Seas, who's your 11-8 favourite, Ben Battle, who's 3-1, and then we did have Real World. Real World's going to skip that and run in a race on Arc weekend, from what I've heard, over a mile and 2, so we'll be interested to see how that goes. But the other horse in here, Lanakash, that horse at 11-2, Sebuska, the legendary Sebuska, is 15-2, Perotto 12-1, Pogo is 14-1, Queen Supreme is 16s, and Accidental Agent, a big entry in the Balmoral Handicap this week, but it's 22-1 in here. Right, I'm going to make this a 2-horse race, as much as you might not want to, but we've got Master of the Seas, 3-year-old in here, versus Ben Battle, the 7-year-old. We were both there to watch Ben Battle's last run in the Celebration Mile, beaten by Lavender's Blue. I don't think it was the best race. Like, I do not think the form of that race has really worked out to be that great. Lavender's Blue, I don't know. I think Ben Battle, maybe at 7. I know the horse doesn't usually need a run. I do think the horse, now the horse is older, might have done well with that run and might come on a hell of a lot. The one thing is, Master of the Seas, we haven't seen this horse, had a setback, behind Poetic Fleur and the Guineas. In my opinion, potentially could still be one of the best 3-year-olds in training. We're going to have to wait to see what happens here. But course and distance winner, I think both are course and distance winners. So it's really fascinating. But if I had to pick with one of them, I wouldn't be having a bet. I can't wait to watch the battle, but it would be Master of the Seas. Just with the fact the horse is 4 years younger, has so much potential, and if improving on anything from that Guineas, which just the worry is that injury and what is taken out of that horse. But I would be with Master of the Season here. Would you be in the same opinion, or do you think both could end up getting taken down by something else?
It's a very tricky race.
Yeah.
Master of the Seas, as you say, could still be one of the best milers in Europe. Let's not beat around the bush there. He pushed Poetic Flare to a head in the 2000 Guineas on good to firm ground. To do that, you're a serious 3-year-old miler. Although Lucky Vega kind of flopped somewhat outside of that in the St James's Palace. Now, of course, he gets weight. I think he gets £4 from Ben Battle, which is handy. But he has been hit with a setback. And I'm not too worried about him running fresh, because of course he won on reappearance this year. But I don't know. I think that was against 3-year-olds and babyish 3-year-olds at the beginning of the season. This requires a lot more against the elders, against his elders, and I would side with Ben Battle. Although 10-3, I'd probably be looking for 7-2ish. But Oisin Murphy hasn't gone aboard Queen Supreme, who's very interesting for Andrew Paulding, coming over from South Africa, which is interesting with Ryan Moore jocked up. So definitely keep an eye on him. But I think Oisin Murphy's won this 3 of the last 4 years. Of course, Ben Battle was third in it last year to Cameco. The year before, won it. And I don't think it was that bad of a run in the Celebration Mile. You say it wasn't the best race, I'd agree with you.
Yeah.
But Ben Battle and Lavender's Blue did pull 2 lengths clear of third. And now, if you watch that back, Oisin Murphy was devastated because the start blew it for him. He was very awkward, hung out the back, didn't really get any cover early doors, and that cost him ultimately. So he clearly retains the ability. We saw that at Goodwood. Hopefully he'll be able to back that up here. I hope Master of the Seas is a rocket. I hope he goes and wins it by 6 lengths and then hopefully goes to the Breeders' Cup Mile as a warm favourite, especially heading over to America. Charlie Appleby trained, you can't really oppose that these days. But it's going to be Ben Battle for me.
Okay, there we go. Both difference of opinions with regards to the Godolphin horses. I think that'll be the question for the comments this week. It'll be Master of the Seas versus Ben Battle. Who are you going to be siding with? But I'm going to be with the younger horse, and Jack will be with the older horse. I think the same will happen that happened to Ben Battle last year and beaten by a 3-year-old. So we'll wait and see. So,
I hope so.
Yeah, well, exactly. But then again, I think Ben Battle's just been a bit of a legend, so I wouldn't mind seeing that horse win either. I think either are 2 decent results. But let's go on to the Saturday now. It's the 150 on the Saturday. It's the Royal Lodge Stakes, a 1 mile Group 1 for the 2-year-olds. And Masekela is your 5-2 favourite here.
Group 2.
Oh, Group 2, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Apologies. Just got way too ahead of myself. Masekela is your 5-2 favourite. Caribus is 3-1. Royal Patronage is 6-1. Austrian Theory 9-1. Bluegrass and Luxembourg for the Ballydor team. They're both 10s. 12-1 about Cresta, but I don't think Cresta's running. Cresta should be running on the Thursday. His preview should already be up. And 18-1 and bigger the rest in here. Now we put up Masekela, both of us, as an anti-post tip at 33-1 for the 2,000 guineas next year. I'm quite excited about this horse now stepping up to the mile and getting to show his ability. I actually think in here this horse could be unstoppable. The reason I say that, the horse needs good ground, right? It does need good ground. It's currently good to soft, but I've looked at the weather forecast. It's dry for the next 2 days. So the horse, you'd like to think the ground will be at least good by then if it does stay dry. The horse has beaten Bayside Boy, who we've seen come out and win. The horse was behind Native Trail and ahead at Newmarket. This horse, Murphy said, as soon as this horse steps up to a mile, he could be an absolute rocket, and I'm still in agreement with this. I think Murphy was completely right. Everything went wrong at Royal Ascot, but there was so many excuses with regards to the grounds that day for that horse. I think they just gave him the run. Probably didn't really need to and probably want to do it, but they did it in the end. But on good ground, over a mile, I genuinely think this horse might just absolutely hack up. And I know you're going to say it's a favourite, but I'm going to stick by this boy. This is probably going to be my cliff horse. He's probably going to keep coming second or third.
He'll be a 6-year-old.
Really, yeah. Car. But no, Masekela is going to be my selection here. I'm quite excited, and those who have watched the channel for a while know that Oisin was very, very keen on this boy. What about yourself?
Yeah, he brings rock solid form, doesn't he? I mean, you've just mentioned it. You can go through all of his form, and it's just subsequent winners after subsequent winners after subsequent group winners. I mean, he clearly brings the best form in the race, and I'm surprised he's still 5-2 is readily available. If I'm being honest, I think he'll probably be shorter than 2-1. I can see him going off 7-4, 15-8. But we have seen these hot pot 2-year-olds get turned over time and time again. And this is the thing which is really bugging me, because I know if I back him, he's going to be a hot pot turned over, and if I don't, he'll hack up. So it is one of those for me. And look, he's going to appreciate this step up in trip. I'm not too sure he does need good ground, because of course his debut win was on soft ground when he beat Fool of Rome the same day as the Cocked Hat Stakes. So that was testing conditions, and that hasn't worked out all that badly, because I don't think Fool of Rome is going to be a bad handicapper next year. But it's this 2-year-old hot pot getting turned over which is putting me off. Now, he will be my selection, because I do think he's the best in the race, and quite simply I think this step up in trip is going to suit him. But at the same time, I'm going to give one at a price as well. I'm going to put my price-wise hat on. And the outside of the lot, Wanese, is 25-1. Now, I think he may even go off a little bit larger than 25-1 if he gets declared. This is, of course, now he wasn't given a hard time on debut. Finished 6th or 7th, I think it was, on debut. But last time out, won going away at Ascot. drawn on the outside as well, so it was quite a good run. One going away. I don't actually think that's going to be the worst race in the world. The first first four pulled 7 lengths clear of 5th, and the time was 0.6 seconds quicker than a Class 2 handicap on the day, which is an exceptional time for a 2-year-old race. Now, he's bred to appreciate this step up and trip for the Shadwell colours. Jim Crowley's already booked up, so I think 25 to 1 each way. If he manages to snatch second behind Masakado, I won't be too disheartened, but if he manages to get the win, then I'll be even happier.
There you go. So Jack and I both agreeing with Masakado, but Jack giving me a big mention for the outsider of the lot in that race if getting declared. So do look out for that one. Now can I finally get in some Group 1 action? 225, the Cheveley Park Stakes. This one's a Group 1 for the 2-year-old fillies here. And Sacred Bridge is your 2-1 favourite here. Sandrine 7-2, Zane Claudette 4-1, Flotus 8-1, Desert Dreamer 9-1, Corazon and Tenebrism are 10-1 and 12-1. Bar these. Now, Sacred Bridge, for Joe Lyons, everyone has been going on and on about this horse, and no doubt she deserves to be a worthy favourite in here. I'm not going to be with the horse. Sandrine, a lot of people had this horse down as, in some stages, that people saying this could be the 1,000 guineas winner of next year, and did look very good, and got turned over the last day by Zane Claudette, and would like to see Zane Claudette go and do it again. Flotus, another horse who I saw win at Goodwood, was really impressed by that horse winning at Goodwood and said that she could go on to bigger things. Nothing really works out, and then she showed shines of that debut the last time out. Again, I'd probably like to see her go and do it again and show a bit of consistency. And then we have the horse that I know you're going to give a big mention for, and understandably, and that'll be from the Aidan O'Brien yard. Over to you.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Tenebrism. Now, of course, absolutely hacked up back in March. Caravaggio's first winner for the O'Brien stable is of course going to get a big mention, but I mean, she got backed into 3-1 for the Queen Mary. She was the Royal Ascot Hot Pot from back in March. Now, don't get me wrong, there's definitely a bit of an English king kind of hype when you're at the beginning of the season and you're hyping up a horse for the big race, and I get that, but when Aidan O'Brien does save them for the autumn, it does make me want them even more. You look at Clownthorne, who hasn't come out yet, who beat Castle Star on his sole run, and you look at Tenebrism, who was absolutely electric, was very inexperienced early on, had to come round the outside of the field, and Ryan Moore had trouble pulling her up. So I mean, she's going to be very exciting. She's obviously off a long break, and I think there was a little bit of an injury there as well. So it'd be intriguing to see how she goes. I'd love her to stay a mile. That would be what I'd love her to do. She's also entered in the Fillies Mile. She's entered in all the big races. I think she's going to have a marvellous 3-year-old campaign. Will I be backing her here? Probably not. I'd probably be watching her, but if she was to win, I'd be very, very excited. I mean, it's an exceptional race, isn't it? Who are you going to opt for?
Well, no, this is the thing, and I'm with you on the fact that I am very worried about this Aidan O'Brien horse. Genuinely, because she could be absolutely anything. She really could. And like I say, Sacred Bridge is definitely anything could come from this horse, and the yard are going really well. And I think they've got a couple of horses over this weekend as well. But I'd be leaving the race alone. I really wouldn't. I don't want to even sit on the fence. I haven't actually. This is probably on the first race ever. I haven't actually got a selection in it. I genuinely haven't got a selection in it. If you wanted to push me for one that's going to come and potentially have a chance, I'd potentially say Sandrine might bounce back. But I'm not confident in that. I'm not confident in anything in here. I genuinely am not. But I'm not saying there's no superstar in here, because there definitely is. But I'm not confident in anything, because I think a lot of these could go and win this and still potentially be top class fillies.
Yeah, this is a top class
race.
It
really is, yeah.
This race has me absolutely salivating. It's mouth-watering. Sacred Bridge, I think she's going to be top class.
Yeah.
That win in the Round Tower just stamped her Group 1 authority over everything in the race. But that's obviously represented in her price at 7-4. Joe Lyons doesn't send them over for nothing. He only does it if he thinks they've got a very live chance, and she does have that. She's the one who I think's the Group 1 filly in the race, other than Tenebrism at the moment. But you've also got, I get the Flotus point, because that victory at Ripon was devastating. Nothing but
similar to her debut.
But the inconsistency, you just wouldn't know what she's going to bring to the table. Eve Lodge, I think, is a little bit overpriced. She's 16-1, and of course won the Serenia Stakes, beating the 1-2 in the Mill Reef, Wings of War and Hierarchy. And I think she was somewhat even going away for the last 50-60 yards. So I think 16-1. I can't see her going off 16-1 at all. She was second to Romantic Times in a novice a couple of runs before that. Romantic Times went on to win the Dicky Pool Stakes at Salisbury, which has been a prep run for this in the the past.
Right.
Of course, isn't entered here. But I think 16 to 1 is stupidly overpriced, if I'm being honest. I think that's a big price, but I think Sacred Bridge perhaps could be too good for them at this stage. And if Tenebrism wins, then I'll be happy. So I'll probably opt for Eve Lodge each way. If Tenebrism or Sacred Bridge come out as the superstars of the 2-year-old fillies, I'll be very happy.
Okay, and if I was pushing the decision, I'd mention Sandrine, but that's about it. Let's go on to the 3 o'clock. It's another Group 1 over 6 furlongs, the Juddmonte Middle Park Stakes. Perfect Power is your 7 to 4 favourite here. Dr. Zemph is 5 to 1. Armour is 6 to 1. Asymmetric 7 to 1 along with Castle Star. Ebro River, Go Bears Go, LaSalle, they're all 8 to 1 and double figures. The rest of them. Ebro River I gave a massive mention to after the run over in Ireland the last day. Dropping back to 6 I think is massive, will massively suit this horse, but the ground would be a worry if it were to dry up, which it's scheduled to do. So I do think the horse is a fairly decent price in this, but the ground would need to be, it'd have to have some give in it, in my opinion. But I do think, like I said in a few videos back, that Ebro River is definitely a horse to be with. But I do think that this Perfect Power could potentially go and win this, and the only reason I say that because a lot of people look at the Richmond Stakes run, but the horse had an absolutely torrid time in that Richmond Stakes, and since then came over to France, won the Prix-Morny, excellent style, and beat the horse who won the Richmond Stakes. So the form was overturned. Who knows what could have happened in the Richmond, but the horse did have a torrid run, and it's fascinating to see Christophe Soumillon coming over to ride this horse again for Richard Fahey. It's an interesting combination, that not one you tend to see. And I did say before we came on that I had a question for you with regards to something that we hadn't discussed prior, and that is with regards to Soumillon. Today announced that he will be riding Tarnawa in the Arc over Colin Keane. He was scheduled to ride this horse at the Breeders' Cup after the run in France as well. What do we make of this? Because we both agree that Colin Keane is top class, but I mean obviously Soumillon is exactly the same. They're both top class jockeys, but what do we make with regards to this decision? I mean, it's the Aga Khan over there, Christophe Soumillon's, their retained rider over there. Do you think it was always going to happen, or were you a bit shocked by the decision?
No, I completely understand the decision. I'd probably be doing the same. Of course, Christophe Soumillon is the Aga Khan's man, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's proven it time and time again. He's unbeaten on the filly, let's not forget. Of course, so is Colin Keane, so it's a hard one to be kicking Colin Keane off. But I think the idea was that Colin Keane was always going to be the temporary rider. And as soon as she went to France, Colin Keane probably already knew that was going to be in the back of his mind. So I think it is the right decision. Is Christophe Soumillon as good as he was a couple of years ago? Probably not. I don't think so. But look, he's the Aga Khan man. Is he going to be to the detriment of Tarnawa's chances for the Arc? Absolutely not, because he's capable in his day. We see it time and time again, and she definitely has a live chance.
Okay, there we go. And with regards to this race here then, I mean, the favourite, again, I think this is actually a very worthy favourite in here, Perfect Power. Would you be with the favourite, or would you go against Perfect Power?
I've had my price-wise hat on.
Again, it keeps coming on.
For this episode, I've had 2 16-to-1 shots, 25 to 1. We're going to go outside, not outside of the lot this time. But look, Perfect Power, the Morny's been a great prep praise for this. Perfect Power's a worthy favourite. 7 to 4, I think you can take him on. Of course, he hasn't really done anything wrong this year. First in the Norfolk, no room in the Richmond, and then, as we say, won the Morny in good style. Dr. Zemph, again, Gerline's intriguing that they're sending him over. I think he wants further. I think this is going to be he's mentioned that this is going to be their Guineas colt next year. I think if they want, because he said about mentioning stepping him up to 7, but Colin Keane told him to keep him at 6. So interesting that they're staying over this trip. But Castle Star, Sam, Castle Star is 8 to 1. He's slowly becoming a cliff horse.
Yeah, you were big on him at the start of the season, I was going to say.
I'm going to give him one more chance just because I think he's probably the best sprinter out of the lot. I think over 6 furlongs, I think Perfect Power could still perhaps be better at 5. I mean, that's obviously out for debate. But I mean, he was second to Clownthorne again on his second run. I think Clownthorne's going to be a top class colt for Aidan O'Brien. Then won the Marble Hill Stakes in great stars. Caravaggio did. Hung horribly when second in the Railway Stakes, and then was 4th last time out when travelling like a dream, but didn't find much in the Phoenix. Now, I think he was posted on the wrong side of the track, although they were kind of over to the rail. Ebro River, of course, won it up that rail, and he was the widest of the lot. Now, one thing he does do is travel like an absolute dream at the rear of the field. Now, they've booked Jamie Spencer to ride, and that is clear to see because he can get the horse into a lovely rhythm. Hopefully, he'll be bouncing up and down with this horse in a great rhythm. but it may be a hard luck story because he may not be able to find the run. We see it time and time again with Jamie Spencer, but I think 8-1 is too large to get away from. I know he's going to be a top-class sprinter. I think he already is a top-class sprinter. I just think he needs to have his day in the sun, and this could well be it.
Okay, there we go. A couple of decent price selections there from Jack, and perfect power for myself in the middle Park Stakes. And we finish off with one of my favourite handicaps of the year. It's the Cambridgeshire Handicap. It's over 9 furlongs, a mile and 1 furlong. It's a really interesting distance and fascinating to try and find the winner. It's the 340 there at Newmarket, and Uncle Bryn is your hot favourite here at 5-1. Astro King is 9-1, Chichester is 10-1, and Matt is 11-1, Magical Morning 14-1, Poet of Life and Dance Jupiter are 16s, Fantastic Fox and Irish Admiral are 18s and 20-1 about the rest of them. I mean, Chichester has been a hot gamble this week, and we could probably walk out the door of this studio and see the spire of the city centre. Jack and I, it's our local city, so it was great to see this horse, getting backed in, and one really impressed me the last day, and still potentially could have a lot in hand. Uncle Bryn is a horse that reminded me a bit of Volkernig in the way that this was run. On the all-weather, put in a really decent performance. Everyone thought it was a massive Derby hope. It didn't really quite work out, and became a bit of a, potentially could have been a decent handicap. Obviously, Walt Koenig's out for season, but Walt Koenig could have potentially been a decent handicap. I wouldn't have been surprised if he had turned up here, if he was fully fit. Walt Koenig could have been an end-of-season target for the horse. We'll have to wait and see. But Uncle Bryn, after the last win at Ascot, Frankie came off the horse and said the Cambridgeshire would be ideal for this horse if the mark became right, and is a short price favourite. We'd get this in handicaps. We had that last week with Great Ambassador, and you said sometimes it's you don't want to complicate these too much. Do you want to complicate this one?
Yes.
You do, of course you do.
Not taking 4-1 about Uncle Bryn at all. I can't trust him whatsoever. I get he's probably better than a handicap horse, but I think 4-1 in this, you can easily have a bad luck story. You can see a group winner not come and win this. So I'll be completely opposing him. I get the appeal for Chichester, of course. He's £8 well in, but listening to the team at Keith Dalglish, they just had no clue he was going to win that by that far, did they? They entered him in this very speculatively, and I mean, that doesn't fill me with confidence. I mean, he's £8 well in, so he's obviously going to be very eye-catching. And we mentioned that when he was about 33-1, didn't we, on the phone? Yeah. Not too long ago, but I mean, I still wouldn't be backing him probably at 25-1 now. Irish Admiral is going to kill me, this horse. I swear he is going to kill me. He won last time out, and it's about time, because over a mile and 2 furlongs in May at York, he travelled too good to be true and had an unbelievable smooth headway off a mark of 95. Couldn't put the race to bed. Finished third, has just been scratching about and hasn't been able to fulfil this potential. Won well over a mile last time out. Has only been raised for £4 for that, up to a mark of 97, which I think is only £2 higher than his opening handicap mark. Now, I think this is going to be a William Haggis group horse in a handicap. He's an absolute master of keeping these handicap marks lower than they should be. And I do think he's better than 18-1 suggests. So Irish Admiral for me. I mean, I hope he's not going to turn into a cliff horse. I just think he's a lot better than some of these. Okay, yeah, Chichester, mad. 66-1, almost into single figures. I couldn't be fancying the horse, but it'd be great for the home city to cheer home a winner. I've got two in here that I like. The first one would be Anne Matt, who's sitting there around 11-1. One at Doncaster the last day and has been kept on that mark. Probably is going to get into the handicap. I would have thought just going to about make it in. But I think the horse is as a three-year-old gelding is massively improved since being gelded. Has looked very, very nice, and I think a mark of 94 could still be quite lenient about this horse. And the other one, Joseph O'Brien has got one in here. It's Dance Jupiter, but that isn't the horse I actually like. He's got another one in here at 33-1, and that's Raise You, who I'm quite interested in. And this horse was originally with Balding and was actually well regarded as a 2-year-old from the stable. I remember hearing there was a yard review, and they quite liked this horse as a 2-year-old. And the horse has since gone over to Ireland. Now, the last run was in a handicap at Galway where the horse finished 5th, a decent handicap. Nevertheless, that was at the Galway Festival. And then prior to that, where I was running in a Group 3 where the horse, it was probably a bit too above this horse's grade length. I don't know whether he was that good, but in he's on a fairly decent mark, I think. And the last time he won was in a 21 runner handicap on good ground. The horse is going to want good ground. I think this horse is going to get it, and the horse kept on well
that day in that handicap at Leopardstown. And I just think that potentially if they bring this horse over the 9 furlongs and that weird distance could really suit this horse. And I just think that maybe Joseph will send 2 in here, and I hope he does. I think Raise You at 33-1 could run a really, really big race. So yeah, a nice big price from me in this one here. But sorry to disappoint any of the Gavin and Stacey fans with regards to Uncle Brim, but Jack and I are both against the horse in here. Now let's go on to the naps and next best for the weekend. We'll kick off with each our next best, then we'll go on to our naps. I'm going to go on my next best. If getting in and running, will be Raise You at 33-1 each way. I really do think this horse is going to run a massive race if actually coming over this. There's no guarantee, but I'm going to just say that each way 33-1 with the extra places as well. I would definitely be having a bet on this horse if in this race. I'm not sure the horse will be 33s if coming in though. What about yourself, your next best?
I mean, whatever my nap and next best are, they've been hitting the crossbar left, right and centre. I mean, Hala Afmani was 8-1, went off at 3s and finished 3rd. So anything that I put out, just back each way, and you'll probably hopefully get your money back. But the second best, it's a much of a muchness week for me. I'm probably going to put up Irish Admiral as my next best.
Oh, there we go. 2 big prices in the Cambridgeshire. That's good. Yeah, I like that. I like that. 2 nice prices in the Cambridgeshire as well.
For
both
my
our next
sins.
best. That's all right. And the nap of the weekend, I mean, it's fairly obvious. You could probably guess it, but it's going to be the unstoppable, the amazing Guineas winner of next year. It's going to be Masekela at 5-2. Will be my nap of the week. You? You're not. You're not. You're not.
I'm not.
Ah, what a shame.
I'm not.
What a shame.
I wouldn't place your ego that
What a shame.
No, you've given it to the Guineas winner next year. I'm giving it to probably the best 2-year-old sprinter in Europe. It's going to be Castle Star at 8-1 each way. It's the day of redemption for Castle Star. He's going to make amends and hopefully in good start.
There we go. Some a nice price there for Jack as his nap of the week. So do look out for that one, Castle Star. Essentially one of the best sprinters, best 2-year-old sprinters.
He's going to fulfil his promise.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. But yeah, that's it for this week. And feel free to let us know down in the comments who you're going to be on this week and your naps and next best. We have mentioned in our last video, but we are going to be doing our previews live from November, and they'll come on a Thursday night. So do look out for those, and we'll probably talk about that close to the time. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to tell you a hell of a lot more about Breeders' Cup Night, where we've got something really different, and hopefully something you guys can engage with a fair bit. And Jack and I are going to trial it and see how it goes. But we will tell you in a couple of weeks a bit more about that. One thing I did look at actually when looking at people watching our video is that over 50% of people aren't subscribed to the channel, which is just ridiculous. We're almost at 750 as well. And if we can hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year, Jack and I think of some mad giveaway that we can do.
Look at that, so 50-50. If those 50% just click that little red button, that's all it is.
It doesn't take long. It doesn't take long, yeah, exactly. So yeah, do subscribe if you haven't already. Give the video a like, and we will be back with you for our feature video on Tuesday evening. Thanks for watching.